Good morning. Good morning and happy Hump Day. It is another Wednesday morning where I am in the Pacific time zone. To those of you who are in other time zones, good afternoon, good evening. And if you are watching this after having been sleeping, I hope you had a really lovely, restful, peaceful, rejuvenating, fulfilling sleep. Many blessings. I'm so excited to be here. I am Valerie Renee Sheppard, Dr. Valerie Renee Sheppard, coming to you live from the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery, where we help people step into their power as divine beings, spiritual, human, integrated beings, to live their best lives through this idea, self-mastery, that I define as mastering you in your life so that you can exquisitely manage whatever your life brings your way. There are 3 pillars. Self-awareness is number 1. You got to know what's going on inside there. You got to know what your recipe is. Then self-acceptance. How are you really feeling about your recipe and where it came from and how you're expressing it and living it and giving it to the world? And then most importantly, I like all 3 pillars. I have trouble figuring out which one holds the key. This one was one. I was really much better at number 1, not so good at number 2, self-acceptance, and not really practiced at self-love. And self-love is about how you create the condition in your world to receive all the love that is there, as you start by giving it to yourself first. And that is the calling. That is where it all begins. That is how laws of reflection, law of attraction, universal laws that are in operation 24/7, 365, actually harness your own energy and bring you exactly what you seek. Exactly what you seek. It's living a new model, a model of be, do, have. That's a conversation for another day. So happy Hump Day, y'all. Happy Hump Day. So, I'll tell you a couple of things, something that's really cool that's about to start from the Hartley Center. So people often ask me, well, how do I get in touch with you? How do I get your input on something that's going on with me? I love it when people ask me questions just directly. Good morning, I see you out there. If you're here live, I would love for you to type something into the chat telling me what the weather is where you are, where I am, what time zone you're in, and what the weather is. So I'm in Pacific time zone. It's 8:35 a.m. Pacific, and it's kind of gray and cloudy outside. I'm looking out a window right now, and it's a little gray and cloudy, and thankfully, because it's been wicked hot here, and so a little cloudy cover is like, oh, welcome. A welcome thing for bringing the temperatures down. So tell me where you're from. And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, and you can do the same thing. Where are you as you're watching, and what are you experiencing in the form of nature's greeting for you? So people ask me, like, how do we get in touch with you? What do I do? So there are a couple of ways. I have this group here on Facebook, and with some wonderful moderators and admins who help me provide for this group, and it's called the Bliss Collective. So it's facebook.com/groups, you got to get that word in there, /the, THE, Bliss, BLISS, collective, COLLECTIVE, the Bliss Collective. It's a community, almost 1,000 strong now, and we are on a mission to create more peace, love, joy, and freedom on the planet, starting with ourselves and then rippling out into the world, our worlds, where we take our individual energetic presences. So what we do in that Bliss Collective is I share wisdom and people ask questions, and we talk and support one another. We have a manifesto that's in there. And from the Bliss Collective, there are things rippling out that you can be a part of, and you can send me a private message. One of the things that we do in the Bliss Collective is I have an Ask Valerie Friday, so people can post questions, and I give them answers. If you've got something really sensitive that you don't feel comfortable blah, blah, blahing it in public, that's okay, no problem. You can private message me, or if you, change the names if you need to. I do the same thing. If you private message me something and I'm thinking, wow, this would probably benefit more people than just you, my answer, then I will change things so that people can't trace who it's from. And I do that all the time, in fact. And you'll get your question answered while we support others in the community. Something really awesome is starting this coming Sunday, which is another running of my Grow in Self-Mastery Flow into Bliss 7-day challenge to have more peace, love, and happiness, ease, peace, and joy. It starts on Sunday. You can go to tinyurl.com/self-mastery challenge. It's free. What people tell me they get out of it is monumental. Why people do it is because they've got a little nudge, something that's telling them they're not as high on the self-mastery scale as they could be. Not that they should be, that they could be. And the higher you are on that scale, not relative to other people, but relative to yourself, the higher you are on that scale, the better you are able to live the 3 pillars of self-mastery. And the better you're able to live those 3 pillars, the more adept you are at creating the life of your dreams. So it's not just a bunch of goals written down, on a piece of paper. It's not things that you really wish for, which I did for a long time. I wished for things over here, but all I was doing was over here. I wished for things up here, but I wasn't really engaged down here. Or I had things that I wanted to be and do in my heart, but my head talked me out of them, and so I was over here doing something else. But it's self-mastery that allows you to lovingly notice and make a course correction. So you'll get some beautiful information. You'll get videos, there are PDFs, there's a group forum, so people interact with each other. It's a group process, so you won't be alone. It's a very high vibration, and so people are shifting, and it's about mastering you so that you can have the kind of life you want. So tinyurl.com/self-mastery challenge. Okay, housekeeping done. My assistants push the housekeeping on me. I tend to forget. They're like, don't forget to do this. Remember to do that. So if you're breathing with me, this is a great place to take a deep breath. So I can already feel energy coming up about what I wanted to talk about today. So I titled today, do you need to memorialize that? Do you need to memorialize that? And the reason I'm really feeling the energy of an idea of memorialization is because of things going on. So things going on in my life, I am in the process still of saying farewell to a very dear friend. And her memorial was a couple of weeks ago. And I was traveling in Europe and wasn't able to be there in person. So I had intended to watch the live stream. And in my kerfuffle about it, I read the date and the day and there was a little bit of a disconnect there, and I put it on my calendar on the wrong day. The right date number, the wrong day. And so I didn't actually participate live. I watched the recording, and thank goodness there was a recording. So thank you to the family for that. My heart still aches. And it made me think about and feel into this idea of memorials. And then, this past week we had a major marking of something that happened in the United States, which was September 11th. And then right after that, the Queen of England passes. And so it feels like this energy, and I'm very interested in seeing how they're doing what they're doing. I'm not a big monarch fan, unless I'm the queen. Funny how that works, huh? I'm not big into the monarchy, the institution of monarchies. I think it's beautiful. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just never been something that I've been into. But I have been to London. I have been to some historic places. I was there for the Queen's 50th Jubilee. I do have a champagne glass and a wine glass that are decorated in gold filament around the Queen's 50th Jubilee and Golden Jubilee. And it was, it was phenomenal. It was absolutely wonderful to kind of mark it, even though for me personally, it doesn't hold the kind of energy that it may for one of her subjects. But all of these things happening within weeks of each other just have really kept this energy flowing in me. And I thought I would talk about it for a few minutes. So the concept, this question, should you memorialize that? And what I was thinking was, we memorialize these really radically huge things. Births, deaths, weddings. Like we get really big ones. And I wonder about the millions of small ones, billions, that we don't mark. And again, not good, bad, right, or wrong. The question that was coming up for me was, would marking them actually help me pass through them better? Would marking yours help you evolve, like to leave it behind? Take the backpack off, take the weight out of the backpack. And I, when I talk to students and when I talk to clients, sometimes what I hear is things that they're carrying that have long since died. I mean, truth be told, everything that we're dealing with often comes from when we were teeny tykes, between the ages of 0 and 6, 0 and 8 maybe, 0 and 10 at the outside. A lot of stuff that we are carrying, we're carrying in the constitution of who we are. We're carrying in the personality and the identity that we assume based on the conditioning from that time. So hear me at a ears not necessary, brain doesn't need to get involved. Let me activate this in you. Is there an aspect of you that needs to be memorialized and let go? Like, okay, bye-bye. Okay, we're done. Not in a get the F out of my life, but in a thank you for coming, and now I'm pulling my energy back and moving on. Thank you for coming. I'm pulling my energy out and I'm moving on. So whatever that thing is can be what it is and stay where it is without it showing up in so many aspects of your life. So the idea, I love to look up words. So of course, I looked up memorialize. So memorialize, according to Oxford Dictionary, is to preserve the memory of or to commemorate. So I like the commemorate for what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about emotional release. I'm talking about psychic energy. I'm talking about release of endings. And if you look in my Hump Day Happy Chats, you'll see a couple others that talk about the transition and how we need endings in order to have new beginnings. And part of the issue, though, can be that we don't ever really say farewell. And some things really deserve to be just left behind. People are walking around with pain and anger and guilt and shame and blame and resentment and punishment and all kinds of stuff that is low vibration. Not bad, not wrong. It's just low vibration. So it's just getting in your way when you're trying to create something more. You can't have both. You cannot live a high vibe life when you are stuck, when you are expressing, when your vibration is in the lower levels, low energy. The evolution of your consciousness, if you are committed to evolving your consciousness, that requires you to release the lower stuff because you're evolving up. You can't take it with you. It's a weight that holds you down. I say in one of my talks, you cannot soar with weight holding you down, an anchor holding you down. So there's powerful, powerful energy available to us at all times in this idea of taking stock of what has left or what has ended or what we need to end and what we need to leave, whether it has left or not. We can feel into that. We need to leave whether it has left or not, whatever it is. Taking stock of what is left, taking stock of your dearly departed. Feeling and dealing with the void that's left behind and whatever that mourning and grieving process is. And I believe the mourning and grieving process is there for all kinds of things. We can mourn physical ability when it changes. It's not just for people and pets. We can mourn a previous part of our life that won't be relived. We can mourn the things, the relationships that are gone that aren't because of someone has transitioned out of the physical body. There's so much that can be mourned and grieved. And however long that takes is however long it takes. And what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for anyone else. So we have to be a sovereign being and make it perfect however we go through it. But this idea of should you memorialize that is asking the question of would you benefit? And you only have the answer. I don't know. For me, it has. I have benefited from memorializing transitions in certain ways in my life. And I've done it a number of different ways, from Native American practices like the Death Lodge to some other things. But so this is a time of honoring. So it's honoring what happened, what was there, what was real and present then, what is real and present now. It's a time for honoring. Thank you for being here. It's a means, like memorializing something, commemorating it, is a means by which you preserve the memory of it, regardless of the good, bad, or ugly of it. And in my life and what I teach is that even something that we might judge as good, bad, as bad or ugly, the memorialization of it, the commemoration of that was then and I'm in now. That was then and I'm in now. So the bad and ugly, if we're going to call it that, I don't. But if that's the way your relationship with it is, that's completely fine. The bad and ugly was then, and I'm over here now. Commemorating that is huge. And oftentimes we slide. Maybe it's because we're still carrying some guilt about what that was. Maybe we still carry some shame about what that was. We don't want anybody else to know about it. We haven't made peace with the fact that it was. So we're not in acceptance. And so believe it or not, when we can't fully move our energy forward from what was, we're not in the present. You'll hear me say over and over, part of the steps to living happy to be me are about being in the present moment. And when your energy is back with whatever was before, whether it was good, bad, or ugly, even good, if your energy's reminiscing about all the good times you had way back then, you're not so present in what's going on right now. That doesn't serve you. You're not being served by the choices that you're making. It's not that they're good or bad, right or wrong. It's that they're not serving you to have what you really want, which is more peace, love, joy, and freedom, more confidence, more faith and trust that your life is happening in a way, unfolding in a way that you will feel blessed and favored. You're holding yourself back. So hear this. You, I, we are all loved just because we are. Not because we're a certain race, creed, or color. Not because of our accomplishments. Not because of who we know, how many Facebook fans we have. Not because everyone knows the lyrics to our songs. Not because we've won a Grammy or an Emmy or an Oscar. Not because you're a really great dog walker. Unconditional love means I love you unconditionally. It doesn't mean I'll hang around and deal with whatever comes along with you. It does mean that as a servant of the Most High, that I am going to be in the heart of unconditional love as much as I possibly can be. And I love calling myself into that behavior, into the being of that. And when you truly commit to evolving your consciousness so that you don't just know that intellectually, but you feel it in your whole being, as you evolve your consciousness to be able to carry more love, to emanate more love, to receive more love, you've got to make space. You've got to make space. So making space to be more love, to feel more happiness, to have more peaceful spaciousness in your constitution, in your sovereign self, is about quieting and moving past and releasing some aspects of your past, aspects of your life, aspects of who you thought you were and were living into. Now you know through your wake up, first step in my 4-step process, you're waking up, evolving your consciousness, and you're like, no, that ain't me. I bless and release that, and I'm moving to higher ground, not better ground, higher ground, where I can see more through the lens of love, which means my heart's more open, means I'm more compassionate, I'm less agitated or less easily agitated. I still get agitated, less easily agitated, and less hanging on to the agitation as a constitutional right. I have to be able to tell people about this story and how this was harmed me, and I don't believe in that, and I don't agree with them. And like, you get to a place where you're like, well, yeah, that's what's happening. And then you return yourself to love. So aspects of you are quieting as you evolve your consciousness. Those aspects are how you clear the way, how you do it. You clear the way, healing, reframing, quieting. You clear the way, and memorializing these things that you're clearing is a way of actually codifying, recognizing this is how it served me, this is how it didn't, this is what I'm shifting, this is my commitment going forward in the healing energy. Bringing in gratitude as you memorialize things, gratitude and honoring that the people who were involved were on their journey. It didn't necessarily line up with yours. You don't necessarily have to understand it. You don't have to necessarily like it. You kind of have to accept it because it is. What is. You start from there and figure out then what's my response to what is. And as you memorialize things, you honor them. It's a way of transmuting the low vibration of the debris that may be left in your psyche, in your memory, in your heart. Honoring yourself as the person who lived through that, whatever that was, as the person who is now choosing to release. So part of a memorialization that we don't often talk about in a public setting is forgiveness. It's a way that you release the hold on you that your own emotions have. It's never, ever, 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 ever times a million. It's never, no matter what you've been taught or what you might believe as a result of that, it's never about the other person. Never. Forgiveness is about you. It's about that anger, like cutting the cord so that anger doesn't make in you a toxic vibration that has to attract its match. It's about the resentment, the guilt, the shame, the blame, the fear, whatever is in you as a remnant of what you're releasing. Forgiveness is how you bring peace to replace that low vibration. Peace is a high energy vibration. Gratitude, compassion, tolerance. Instead of, well, I've forgiven them and F them. I'm so glad they're not in my life anymore. Ugh, not really serving you. Might be what you're doing, not telling you it's wrong. I will almost guarantee you every time it's not really serving you at the highest levels. So make no mistake. And if you want to know, you can look at places like Harvard Health. There are a number of places that have measured the impact of forgiveness. Practicing forgiveness is proven to have health benefits. If you can't be in it for the spiritual reasons of unconditional love and it doesn't entice you from those areas, the space of being a vessel to bring love into the planet, maybe do it from the place of, for yourself, right now it's about health. So whether it's observational studies, yes, there have been randomized clinical trials. So whatever data you're looking at, these studies have shown that forgiveness is associated with so many benefits: lower levels of depression, lower levels of anxiety, lower levels of pronounced hostility, reduced substance abuse. So when people are not in forgiveness, they can often self-medicate their way past the anger or the pain or the guilt or the shame. Forgiveness reduces the propensity to do that. Higher self-esteem, greater quality of life. Studies. Forgiveness is how you free yourself from having feelings about wrongs committed against you to occupy you, or heaven forbid, dominate. I mean, occupy a little bit is enough, but to dominate your thoughts, to dominate your psyche, to dominate your feelings, dangerous for you. The other person may not even know you feel that way and doesn't really have to. It's still hurting you. So this idea of maybe you need to memorialize that. Maybe there are some things that we kind of tell ourselves, that's little, that's not important, it's insignificant. Why are you thinking about that? I have actually gotten into the habit of doing little things. Like, one of the things I love doing is releasing objects. I can be very attached. I'm still attached to a lot of things. So that's part of my outer edge of growth, is to let go of emotional attachment to inanimate objects, to money, to representations of my goodness, like my plaques that show I won something, or my degrees. I can get very like, I can't get rid of that, even if it's in a box in a storage place that I haven't seen for 10 years. I can't get rid of it. So what I've been doing lately is I've been releasing things, getting practiced, my habit of evolving that part of my consciousness. I give things to the Vietnam Veterans of America. My father was served in active combat in Vietnam twice. And so that's a special thing for me when I memorialize things. Brings his energy present, even more so than it normally is. And so I put out these bags. They have these bags, and I put them out, and I call to make the appointment, and I'm so grateful that they come pick up. So lovely. So I put them out, and then I light a candle, and I say a little prayer of gratitude. And the gratitude is for a couple of things. Number one, that I have such abundance that I can give things away and truly, most of the time, like 99.8% of the time, not miss them. Every now and then I'm like, where's that shirt? I really wanted to wear it today, and I gave it away. That's funny. But even memorializing that, even memorializing something like that can seem mundane, just get on with it, is a way that I give myself peace. Not that I'm doing the right thing or I'm a good Christian or anything like that, but that I'm just doing what I've committed to do to heal myself and evolve my soul. Like I'm releasing. Yay, for me. Nobody knows until just now I'm telling you. Just for me. So it means I create more spaciousness, not only in my closets, yes, there too, or in my junk drawer, or in my silverware drawer, or in my glasses cupboard. I mean glasses you drink with. I only have a couple pair of glasses, and I need them. But I'm freeing up space in my heart. Why am I doing that? Because I want more space for love. There needs to be more spaciousness in our lives in order to create and experience what we really want. Joy has some need for space in here. Peace has some need for space in here. Like, think about it. Yes. Yes. Feel it. So, you can do all kinds of things to commemorate something. It can be as grandiose as you like. It can be as huge. You can make an altar to things. You can light candles and say a prayer. You can even make it a vigil for 10 days, 30 days, some portion of time that's significant to you, relevant to you. It doesn't have to make anybody else happy. You are a sovereign being in your life. You are the master and commander, mistress and commandress. So lighting candles. I love poems. I love poetry. So writing a poem. And you don't have to go to the traditional idea of what a poem is. It doesn't have to have certain stanzas and number of characters, and it doesn't have to be the iambic pentameter. It doesn't have to be in some kind of prose or rhyme. You could just write it. A series of thoughts. And what's nice about that is you're releasing them from being rolling around in here. You could journal a short story, like the death of my addiction to sugar. You could write, you could do it all in pictures. Like it could be like a vision board for memorializing your separation from something that no longer serves you. I'm taking a step forward. I'm leaving that where it is, and I'm memorializing this time and place in my soul's evolution as a place of honor and grace and forgiveness and joy and love. spaciousness. Build extra alone time into your calendar. Especially when there's a passing of a loved one, there can be so much time with others, so much time. And in some of those times, you're helping someone else manage their grief. So you may not even be able to flow your own. Some of those times we're in service to those whose grief is overtaking them, and we may not be able to manage the grief that is, wanting to overtake us, in which case we're stuffing it, in which case we're hanging on to it. It's not moving. You see that in people who 2 weeks after a funeral, they just break down because they've been carrying so much for so long, for so many. And so this is your opportunity to take back your strength, take back your power. So building a little extra alone time, some spaciousness in your calendar, which is a great place and time to do some rituals around memorializing what's going on with you around whatever that was. And ceremony, I love ceremony. So ceremony, I talk in my book, I give a couple examples in step 2, which is about releasing what no longer serves you. And so we've already talked about forgiveness, and there are some very specific forgiveness practices that I love. One of my favorites is Ho'oponopono. I also do the radical forgiveness practices of author Colin Tipping. That's a great book if you're having trouble with forgiveness or you want to evolve what you believe it is about. It's a great way to kind of get a new perspective and be able to go, I never thought of it that way. Maybe there's something for you in that. But the idea of a ceremony, Phoenix ceremony, I love Phoenix ceremonies where you kind of free-flowing, write whatever negative energy comes up about the situation, and then you say a prayer of forgiveness and release, and then you burn it. And as the smoke rises from the flames, you see it leaving you. All the energy associated with whatever that was goes away with the smoke. Obviously do this in an enclosed environment, a safe environment. And then when I pour the water on the smoldering ashes, what I see in the water is my new self, my released self, covering it up, like flowing into it with a more powerful flow of high vibration, positive energy. I also talk about ceremonial drowning of things, where you can write things on paper and drown them, like candles. There's so many ways. You can create your own. You don't have to find someone's thing and do it. You could look at several different things and do what you need. Do what you need. Like I have a candle by my desk when I'm doing the Hump Day Happy Chat. It's a candle that memorializes the energy of the divine that I'm calling in to be a vessel and a channel and a messenger for these messages. So the whole thing is to make it true to you. Allow yourself the time, whatever time that is, however many times that is. Never beat yourself up about needing more time to heal. Never beat yourself up about wanting to go deeper into forgiveness and love and release. The planet benefits every time we do it. And the last thing I'll say on this is, once you put it down, leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Ebbs and flows are fine to the extent that you're like a little bit back there, but ultimately you're still taking 5 steps forward and a half a step back. You're still in the energy of forward flow, forward movement, flowing into spaciousness between you in the present moment and that in your past. maybe you need to memorialize that. So you might try it on. Is there something that you're releasing or that you need to decide to release? And as a part of that decision, you create the memorialization that helps you separate even further from what no longer serves you. From what no longer serves you. Thank you so much for being here. Those of you who are live, thank you so much. Those of you who are listening to the recording, thank you very much. Congratulate yourselves for taking a few moments to see what might be in this message to activate something powerful and positive for you in your own life. I always close the Hump Day Happy Chat with the Karanaya Metta Sutra, the prayer of loving kindness from the Buddha. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature. May all beings be happy. And may all beings be free. What we just talked about is how you bring that freedom, that emotional freedom from things that aren't serving you. So, want some freedom? Maybe you should memorialize that. Many blessings. Bye now.